Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 26.
I got to shout out my boy Duke Watson. Shout out Duke Watson, the best 26 to ever come through Mary Persons. I said it. And hopefully he gets to start this week with Isaac Brown being down. Maybe he gets some burn, maybe get some good tape on the field for somebody to dip in that portal.
Maybe he'll be in the playoff. You never know. We got the playoff rankings come out yesterday. We're going to talk about that here in a second. I was going to go with Malcolm Mitchell, 26. You remember that great catch he had against Florida, Caleb, where he broke the tackle and he busted to the end zone and Jarvis Jones forced a fumble? You remember that game?
Dude.
17-9. I always think of Tevin Coleman. Falcons great from the Super Bowl season.
Welcome to another edition of the Deep Shot Podcast. Jake joining from the iPad tonight. So, hey, talk about a guy. You guys may have given him hell for missing a couple podcasts, but look at that, showing up when needed on the iPad, ready to go. We've got.
So you got to do what you got to do when crisis strikes. So I'm without my laptop. I'm without my second monitor. The iPad is typically my research vessel. So we're gonna see how it goes,
Before we get into everything, we're going to talk playoff rankings. We're going to talk BYU Texas Tech. Got some Big 12 football, a couple other games. We're going to talk the NFL. Falcons are going to Germany to play the Colts. Caleb's Patriots got the Bucs this weekend. Our picks later with guest picker
Brady McGill. Well, my brethren, my ATA brethren.
Excited for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you are subscribed on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Our Deep Shot Sports Helping Pause event at Mutation Brewery on November 22nd. It's coming up just 2 weekends away from this Saturday. Check us out in the Fulton Neighbor online. You can check out an article that just came out talking about it. Should be a really good time. Really excited. Got some good things for you planned. So with all of that, let's get into episode 26. Before we talk about the games, yesterday, the college football playoff rankings, first edition, came out. So these are now going forward. You can quit talking about the AP poll and any other poll for that matter. This is the only one that matters. I did put that video out last night, basically kind of talking that the biggest things to me were, one, it seems like the ACC was totally disregarded and they do not care about them, which is crazy because they have 3 Big 12 teams up in the top 13. I thought Utah being 13 was insane, but the ACC, the highest ranked team they have is Virginia behind Utah at 14. And then Tech was back there. We had Tech highly ranked. Texas and Oklahoma are up there. I think that was a good call on us. We all had debates over that on our top playoff teams. I think the biggest debate I saw online was the Notre Dame Miami thing, because Miami has to win over Notre Dame, that they should be higher ranked than Notre Dame. What do you guys think about that and think about the playoffs in general, or playoff rankings in general?
The Notre Dame thing is interesting because I do think they're a good squad. They just ran into Miami at the wrong time, and then they lost a tough game to Texas A&M, two teams who, A&M's in, and Miami is, they've been sliding, but they've been a pretty good team for the better half of this year. It's just tough. Notre Dame is always going to be a pretty tough discussion, because they're not in the conference. They never really have the toughest schedule. But just looking at their body of work, they started 0-2. Since they started 0-2, their body of work has looked pretty positive. They look like a good squad. So I don't necessarily hate it. I think Georgia Tech being left out, like we had them as our 10, them being left out was probably the biggest head scratcher for me, because I think, this is a team that is, one loss. They're a one-loss squad, and you have Notre Dame who has 2. That would be kind of my biggest gripe.
It's all the ACC teams too, like all those ACC teams with 1 loss: Georgia Tech, Louisville, Virginia. Not even
and
like
only
just
Virginia gets in.
Yeah, and they're not even like right behind them. They're off in the distance. Notre Dame can't even see. Caleb, what do you think?
A lot of it's perplexing to me. I really like the Notre Dame precedent. The committee intentionally put Notre Dame at 10, I think, just to kind of say, hey, everybody behind them, you can't lose anymore. Because if you do, then you're just giving them more than enough reason to be in the playoff. On the flip side of that, though, basically telling Virginia, Louisville, and Georgia Tech, they've all got to prove it. I think this is all in respects to their strength of record. Like, you can go and look at that, and I know a lot of people online disagree with strength of record even being a good stat, but like Georgia Tech has not played anybody. Okay, so when they're 8-1, they ain't played nobody. Virginia's 8-1, they ain't really played nobody. Louisville's 7-1, they ain't really played nobody other than Miami, who they beat. I think it all kind of is disrespectful in the long run, to wedge them all of the contenders in that conference through 18 and then give 2-loss Utah a nod over any of the 1-loss teams. Now,
Insane. What is Utah's best win? Like off the top of your head, Cincinnati's the best win they've got?
absolutely.
That's crazy. Like they have 2 losses are in the Big 12. They've lost to Texas Tech and BYU, who are in the top 10. I thought the Utah thing was very interesting. Like I did not see Utah coming up at 13. Like there's a scenario where Utah can just go 10-2 and backdoor their way into the playoff as
Yeah. And also, like, when you double down on that and you think about, like, Georgia Tech, let's talk about Georgia Tech specifically, because I know we have a lot of Georgia, like, state of Georgia listeners. We have a lot of Georgia Tech fans who listen. Think about Georgia Tech's path to the playoff now. When you have the precedent already set of having these 2-loss teams above them, like, we're talking about Utah, we're talking about Notre Dame. I mean, they play the Georgia Bulldogs here in a few weeks, and then maybe they can pull it off. But let's say that Georgia Tech does drop that game to Georgia. Now, how do they get into the playoff at 10-2? It's going to be tough, really, for them to get. I mean, the season ended today. They're not ACC championship games. So they don't have that to fall back on. It's hairy because the first college football playoff rankings don't really matter for a lot, but it sets a lot of precedent. It sets a lot of, that's why they put Notre Dame in there, just basically telling Notre Dame, hey, take care of business. You went out, you're good. And that's kind of the message they're sending here. And, because what was Tech, 16?
17.
17. I mean, I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm totally with you. And I asked some of our Georgia Tech fans in our Pick'ems group chat today. Dave Ladondo, former guest picker, said he thinks the college football playoff committee can suck his dick. So, that's how Tech fans feel right now. He also says that no one's talking about how NC State also beat Virginia, who's ahead of Georgia Tech right now. So those are things to think about. Another guest picker, Cameron Ramsey, who is also a Georgia Tech fan, says he's just confident they're going to win out and they have to put them in. Georgia Tech fans taking some people positive, some people negative. That's how it's going right now. But
10-2 with Georgia Tech. Like if they're going to lose to Georgia, dude, like I don't think that that's going to be something they're going to have to run out of gas at some point or another. I think the culture is going to be strong. 10-2. Georgia Tech does not get in the playoff in my book unless they win their conference championship game, because that is not a conference loss. So they may still be in play for that to get their automatic bid in, I guess. But I'd really find it hard to believe that they win out going forward. Like 11-1, yeah, lock them in. But that's a tall task, considering they really haven't proved it against anybody. Like really, we're going off of Georgia Tech. Like I know they've won a bunch of games this year and they've been consistent. Haynes King's been the best player in college football, statistically probably this year, other than maybe Navy's quarterback, which nobody's talking about him. But to sit here and think that what they've done is good enough, I think a lot of their high is ridden off of what they did against Georgia last year in a loss, and that was last season.
And I was at the game when they stormed the field against Clemson. That was kind of like a big deal at the time. I think overall the rankings were pretty good. I just think the Big 12 love versus the ACC hate is a big topic. But let's talk about the Big 12 matchup of the week. Top 10 matchup between BYU and Texas Tech. You're not talking about Big 12 football in here. Maybe have not talked about it since week 0 when Kansas State played Iowa State hand up. But this is a big matchup, so we got to get ready. Texas Tech is a minus 10.5 point favorite. Over under is at 52.5. Game day is going to be there. Back-to-back Big 12 games for game day after all the haters online said they only do SEC games. Look at them now. What's y'all's opinion real quick on college game day? I mean, do you like what it is now? Do you guys even watch it? What's your thoughts?
I'm going to get some hate on this. I hardly ever watch college game day.
Really?
Hardly ever watch it. I mean, I might throw it on, but typically y'all are gonna hate this. Y'all are gonna hate the words that come out of my mouth right now.
But don't slander Pat McAfee.
I enjoy Saturday mornings still on some Premier League. That being how I started, to be completely honest, or Saturday mornings is a great time to take the boat out and then be back by noon, be back by 1. And that's what I'm doing I'm not going to watch college game day this week because I'm going to go out on the boat. I'm going to be back before the game starts. It's also a good time to be outside, go for a walk before you sit down and, watch TV all day and watch games. But I've never been a huge game day person.
Wow. Caleb, what about you? I mean, that's crazy. I love it. I love watching it. What about you, Caleb?
I can't get enough of it. I'd like just the the fan kick, that's like the most electric segment on
Dude,
all of TV.
he gives away so much money every time. He finds
He
a way to
does.
give away money.
Every time it's like, oh, we're not kicking twice. All right, let's kick it twice.
At the Georgia Ole Miss game, when they brought out Rodrigo Blankenship to do the kick, and he was like, if Rodrigo makes this kick, you get, $1 million.
What a
Oh.
scam.
Giving it away. All right. Well, interesting there. But anyway, first top 10 matchup in the history of BYU football, by the way. They've never had a
Really?
where they're in the top 10. They're playing someone else in the top 10. Both BYU is coming off a bye week. If you have not been paying attention to BYU, their quarterback, Bear Bachmeier, he wears number 47. Guy is an absolute tank. If you didn't know, going back to last year, BYU, member, they had the BYU, and he transferred out to Tulane, had that whole little, I think he had sex before he's not supposed to thing. And they got rid of him. So Bear Bachmeier comes in. He comes in from Stanford. Him and his brother on the team. His brother's name is Tiger. So Bear and Tiger Bachmeier. He's done pretty well this year. Over 1,600 passing yards, 11 touchdowns. He's ran for 408 yards, 9 touchdowns. BYU runs the ball really well as a team. They're like top 15, over 200 yards. Now, Texas Tech, on the other hand, best defense in the country at stopping the run. They give up less than 75 yards a game. This is a team I talked about. If you go back in the preseason, I had thought Texas Tech would get to the Big 12 championship. They're not obviously going to play Baylor at this point, but I 1 for 2. And Texas defense, the money they spent in the offseason, is showing up. They have a top 10 defense in all of college football, all across the board. And the only loss they had was Arizona State without their starting quarterback, Barhan. I don't know how to say his first name. Let's just say Morton. So Morton was out. The Texas Tech offense, top 5 in total yards. And the spread being this big just makes me, kind of want to lean with Texas Tech. I thought we were all going to go on Utah too, and I didn't think BYU stood a chance there. And BYU, now Utah is, apparently a really good team, ranked really high. It was a big 10-point favorite last week. So, they have done it against quality competition, but the talent advantage here seems to be on Texas side. It seems where I'm leaning after getting burned on that Cincinnati Utah last week.
Yeah, I agree. I think when we talk just specifically on talent, and you're just going to compare BYU's 22 to Texas Tech's 22, Texas Tech definitely has that advantage. Not even really close. I think BYU's got a solid squad, not to completely trash them, but Texas Tech, you're talking about all the money they spent this offseason. It's translating. They're slip up a couple weeks ago, but you can make a great point about missing some key players. And BYU, like, while they are sitting here, they're 8-0. They have that very close win over Utah. They have a double overtime win over Arizona. They beat the terrible Colorado Buffaloes by 3 points. So looking at it, I think that Texas Tech should be able to come up with a win. The spread itself is a different story. 10.5 points is a lot of points. And I think when we're talking spread, I'm probably going to lean BYU because I think they should be able to keep it within 10 points. I don't see this being a 2-touchdown difference game. I think this is going to be a good one. I think it's going to be solid. I think BYU is a tested team because when you look at those close wins, like, there's a part of you can be like, okay, why are you beating Colorado by 3 points? Why are you going to double overtime against Arizona? That can be kind of a red flag too, but it also shows this team can fight. And I think they'll be able to, make this a 4-quarter game. There might be a play here and there that goes Texas Tech's way and, ultimately, makes them the winner. But I think they should be able to at least keep it within 10. So I'm probably going to lean BYU on the spread, but I think Texas Tech should be able to win.
I mean, I just see Texas Tech shutting them down on the run game. Their defense, Texas Tech's defensive line, namely, we talk about it all the time. They got first-round talent over there. Joey McGuire is very proud of the team he's got. A lot of people, and I heard this clip, a Josh Pate clip, I think it was yesterday or today, talking about how McGuire stated, like, he knows that people are going to be like, rah, this team's a bunch of mercenaries. And, those teams kind of fall apart. We've seen Florida State do it like that. But the vibe around the culture around the team is not the same. They're pretty tight-knit. They know what the goal is in the vision. And when they got the quarterback healthy, they're pretty damn hard to stop. So I don't have a pick in this game. That is in the normal 4. I may have a deep shot. We'll see. I don't want to spoil too much. But, yeah, I think Texas Tech rolls right here, and it's at home. They got game day. Last time they had game day there, does anybody know?
Was it the Texas game way back when?
It was the Texas game back in the day, and that is one of the best football games I've ever seen in my life. That was one of those, like, when I was a kid that made me love college football. It's one of, like, the marquee ones.
Yeah, the Michael Crabtree catch, right?
Yep.
Yes. That's crazy. That's a good little stat there, Caleb. Like it. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Oregon going to Iowa. So Iowa was not ranked in the AP poll, and they were ranked 20th in the college football playoff poll that came out yesterday. So something to look out for there. Iowa is 6.5-point dogs. Over under is 40.5. Both teams coming off a bye week. First time Iowa is playing a ranked on ranked game at home in November since 2015. So they have not had a lot of big time matchups at home this late in the season in a long time. Iowa has been pretty solid offensively in the games that they won. Now the games they lost to Iowa State earlier in the year and then Indiana. The offense kind of seems to stumble a little bit, but they did have that close Indiana game. They lost by only 5 points. It should have been 7, but there was a questionable take a safety play that people think Vegas is in on. But anyway, Iowa does not have a passing threat. Nothing new there. They are ranked 132nd in passing offense, and the Oregon pass defense is third in the country. They're 4th overall. So I would see that trend kind of staying the same. I think Oregon seems to be a little doubted right now. They were ranked 9th in the rankings last night. People aren't giving a lot of credit. They look, the Penn State win doesn't really mean as much anymore. Like a lot of questions. So I think Dan Lanning's going to have the boys ready in this game. Now, Iowa is the least penalized team in the country. Only gives up 13 points a game. So they're going to have a fight and they're going to have to, play sound football. But I think if Oregon can just get up early, if they can score a first quarter touchdown, maybe get a field goal, they're up 10-0 by the end of the first quarter, the game might be over. So I think if you let Iowa take a lead, then you might have to.
Might get a little dicey.
Yeah, I would agree. It might get a little dicey. But at the end of the day, I think Oregon's just going to over talent this one. I think 6.5. That's maybe giving respect to the home environment at Iowa. But I don't want to get burned here by just going with the favorite. But I do like Oregon in this game.
There's a part of me that really thinks that Iowa might have a shot to pull this one out. There's a part of me. I think that Oregon has been kind of catching themselves playing with their food sometimes. I don't really know how to put it to words, but and maybe you can disagree with me. Maybe we can talk this through a little bit, but I just feel like when I watch Oregon play football, they don't really wow me like they maybe did in the past. Sorry, like looking at the Wisconsin game last week, they 21-7 over Wisconsin. Wisconsin was one of the worst teams in the country. They took care of business against Rutgers, but then, the Indiana game at home, they scored 20 points. Listen, I'm not saying anything against Indiana. Like, I think Indiana's a really good team, and I'm not even necessarily saying that it's bad that they lost to them. But it was how they lost. It never really seemed like at any point in that game that Oregon had a shot. Took it.
7 of those points was a pick six.
Exactly. The offense itself just does not wow me. And when you're talking about a team like Iowa, it's not like they don't have a great offense either, but if they're able to keep Oregon, around like that, the 20 to 21 points, the two games we're talking about, why can't Iowa get it done? Who's to say they don't have to play here, play there, and make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna be a play here, play there. I mean, that offense, they're gonna need to just hopefully, get a deep shot somewhere or a big turnover or something, because that offense still struggles to move the ball.
I mean, I've been the one on this podcast over the last couple of weeks stating that I think Oregon is a little bit overinflated in terms of their value in the ranking system or the AP poll and all that stuff. They're going to have a true test this week because Iowa is one of the daunting places to play in the Big Ten. Now, I would argue it's probably about 4th. I think it's a harder place to play than Oregon. And everybody gives Oregon all these flowers like, you just talked about it. They only scored 21 on Wisconsin last week, and they've gotten beat at home against Indiana at their own place. So going into Kinnick in a spot like this, Kirk Ferentz in the defense can give Dante Moore some things to really kind of question himself, maybe shake the confidence early in the game. And you can say whatever you want to. Whenever you're a 5-star player and you're going to this place to play, you're expecting to perform and score points. And if they go in there and they have to punt the first couple of drives, which is fine against an Iowa team, they need to understand that. That's fine. You start giving the ball back to them, playing defense. Iowa's offense is going to sputter at some point. They're going to turn it over to you or give you the ball back in 3 downs. They can't get impatient. And I don't think Will Stein's going to get impatient, but the quarterback could. And that's my concern. I don't have a pick in this game, but I do like what Jake said. There's a chance that Iowa could win this thing and supplant themselves back into fringe college football playoff race, which is crazy enough.
Yeah, I mean, they've only got one loss in conference in the Big Ten. So, you never know if something could happen down the road there. You got to think about, like, if Ohio State and Indiana, one of them loses, or let's say for, good sake, like Ohio State loses to Michigan at the end of the year, then I would love to know what if we have a one-loss Ohio State, one-loss Michigan in conference, at least, like a one-loss Michigan in conference, one-loss Iowa in conference. Like, how does that look? So that'll be interesting to look on down the road. Okay, let's talk about big game in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. LSU, first game without Brian Kelly. The interim coach is Frank Wilson, who apparently is a big-time guy over there, and he has been there for a while. So the spread right now is Bama minus 9.5. Over under is sitting at 49.5. Both teams coming off a bye week. Bama's won 12 of the last 14 in this series. Last time LSU won in Tuscaloosa was with Burrow in the gang. It's hard for me to break down this game in like the X's to the stats, because it seems like, well, we don't have no clue what LSU is going to come out like, right? Like the last 2 weeks for LSU football has just been not good. In the media and the publicity and everything. And the team before that was already kind of stuttering. And Bama, who has been rolling and winning games in each and every way, coming off a bye week, has a home game, big rivalry game. I just don't know. Like, maybe LSU can get that interim bump or just the momentum because it's a big game, but that doesn't really mean anything. Like I said, they've lost 12 of the last 14 of these matchups. So it doesn't really matter, if you ask me. If LSU's defense can go back to, putting on like a performance they did early in the season and, make it where Alabama has, I don't know, I just don't see it, honestly. I keep trying to talk myself into it. I just don't see a way in LSU's winning this game, whether they're motivated or not. They can't run the ball. Alabama's looked too good. Alabama's secondary, it's like the best part of their team. So, and Garrett Nussmeier hasn't been great this year already. I don't know. I don't want to break down this too hard, because I just don't see a way LSU wins this game.
I was trying to find a way to convince myself that LSU's going to be able to keep it within 9.5, but I just can't see it. And, I think it's, the whole interim bump thing we talk about is like, yeah, it might happen every once in a while, but I don't think I can sit here and make an entire pick just based on, hey, sometimes the interim gets the team fired up. I can't do that. There's been too many problems with LSU all season. And then outside of that one game for Bama, I mean, they've been a wagon. Yeah, giving Bama, it's in Tuscaloosa too. I don't really see a way that they don't win this game by 9.5. I just don't think that LSU is just really all that and enough to go into Tuscaloosa and come out with.
Yep. So there's a lot of things got to go right for LSU. One, they got to win the time possession battle, which that is going to mean that they are able to throw the ball effectively and run for first downs whenever they need to. Can't do that. And I understand that Alabama's defense is really, really bad against the run traditionally. If you really look at it, though, and if you've watched Bama games this year, they're not terrible against the run. They just give up too many explosives. Like, they'll bottle Vanderbilt up. Like, let's go back to the Vandy game. Vandy ripped off an 80-yarder like the first play of the game, right? But like after that, it kind of tightened things down. They only had like 45 yards of rushing the rest of the game. Okay, so if LSU is able to break an explosive in the run game, I mean, obviously that's going to be a big advantage for them in terms of how the game script goes, but that's got to happen. They've got to be able to disrupt Ty Simpson on offense a little bit, and I don't think if Georgia could do it, nobody else is going to do it. I mean, I don't think Bama coaches think that they peaked yet. I don't think they've played their best version of football. I think if they could run the football just a hair, and Garrison talked about it on a pod earlier this year, if Bama had a top 50 run game, they would be unequivocally the best team in the country. Maybe this is a week to get that right. I mean, LSU is going to play up because it's Frank Wilson running the show, and everybody hated Brian Kelly, and they love Frank Wilson. He's an LSU guy through and through. LSU's kind of got some semblance of something going at this point with the new president, new AD, and all that stuff being put in. So, the vibes are up in LSU, but they're having to take this thing to Tuscaloosa. It's hard enough to beat Alabama anywhere, much less in their own place.
Everything going against LSU right now, everything going for Bama. They're on the bye. They're off the bye. Like, I don't know. I'll be rooting for LSU to pull it out. Don't get it twisted, but just don't see it happening. All right. Well, another game to look out for. Missouri playing A&M this weekend. A&M and Missouri both coming off bye weeks. Missouri doesn't have their quarterback, so they're going to be running with the backup, blanking on his name. Played a little bit in the Vandy game, almost hit the crazy Hail Mary. But I'm just interested because the spread is only 6.5, and with a Missouri team that has been pretty beat up, Obviously, they don't have the quarterback. They are at home. I'm just not sure. Like I don't. It's hard to think that Missouri, who doesn't have a quarterback, they'll have to rely on their defense getting after Marcel Reed and making plays. But A&M has the best sack defense in the country, and that doesn't seem well against the backup quarterback. But it is interesting spread within a touchdown, if you ask me.
A&M's going to beat the crap out of them, dude. A&M is going to absolutely roll, dude. Absolutely, no doubt. I'll give you a game to look out for this week. It's actually tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football. Georgia Southern at State. One of the bigger rivalries in our conference. You know, we hate Georgia State, but I'll be honest, we're kind of a little bit above Georgia State. I don't really care about them, to be completely honest. You know, it's Southern, not State, but the big one is the Appalachian State Mountaineers. And I'll tell you, they typically have some issues facing us. It's in Boone. This would be an awesome game to go to because it's starting to get a little chilly. Go up to the mountains, watch some football. But yeah, be on the lookout. Georgia Southern at State. Maybe we can take it on.
Okay, Kayla, what you got to look for?
This is going to be inflammatory, but I very look forward to this conversation. Georgia is playing Mississippi State this week. That spread makes you kind of like, what's going on in the kitchen back there? You know, what are they putting in the chili? It's only 8.5. They're on the road. We've seen Mississippi State give everybody a scare this year, everyone, including themselves sometimes, and Brandon Walker. This just is something up. It's something going on. I want to hear it from the Georgia fans. Like, what do you guys think about this game going into it? Obviously, talent-wise, you should be able to smoke Mississippi State, but so should everybody else, and nobody's been able to do it. They've been competitive with every team they played this year.
I mean, I think Mississippi State is a good squad. It's in Starkville. Georgia struggles in the first half. I don't think that's a crazy line. I mean, I might would have expected it to be a little bit higher, maybe around like 10 to 13, but I don't think it's insane. I don't think it's insane. I mean, you look at how we've been in every game's been a close game for Georgia. I mean,
yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, here's the thing: is Mississippi State last year they scored a billion points on us. If you remember that game, like we won like 44 to like 30 something. We don't have a pass rush, and Mississippi State loves to throw the ball. So that just seemed like a recipe for disaster. I would think if we're gonna win this game, obviously the talent is one. We just have to overpower them, find a way to get a sack or two, because then we can kind of get in their heads. And I just think the offense has to do what most offenses have done to Mississippi State this year, and that's just run the ball really well. We're going to be able to outmatch them in personnel and skill players from our receivers in terms of our receivers and their DBs. But, I mean, yeah, I'm with Jake. I think 8.5. Like, yeah, maybe you could see it being like 10.5. But, like, if you're watching Georgia football this year, like, at this point, you know, you may just have this perception of what you think every game's going to be close. And maybe this is the game they finally get a blowout. Don't see it happening. At this point, I don't think any game we play, maybe other than Charlotte before Georgia Tech, it will be a blowout, but we'll find out. I do want to bring up a game that's happened on Friday night as well. Tulane's playing Memphis. We didn't really bring it up in the playoff ranking talk, but Memphis got that 12 seed right now, and they're not even in the top 25. So if Tulane beats them, all of a sudden we got to talk about a new team, probably not even ranked in the top 25, getting a chance at being the 12th seed. That's going to be an interesting thing down the road. The fact that we're probably going to have a Group 5 team not even ranked. Last year, Boise State was just like in the top 10 the whole time. So we kind of just, knew to put them in where they were. But unranked, no G5 team ranked, I feel like that's where people are really going to start getting pissed off. Caleb, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to definitely be interesting. I think Tulane's John Summerall's definitely got this on his map circled. This is say what you want to must win for them at this point, and it's a huge game for implications Group of 5. I haven't seen enough Memphis to just be very super confident in them to be able to go and get this done right here. But yes, very intriguing matchup, I think.
Okay, well let's move on. Let's talk about the NFL matchups for Week 10. Got the Germany game this week between the Falcons and the Colts. Colts are -6.5, over under at 48.5. Colts obviously coming off the first time they've looked real bad all season against Steelers last week. Falcons, just another week for them. Third loss in a row though, and listen to this stat. Falcons are 3-15 all time versus the Colts. So stats not in our favor, but Jake, any confidence? How are we feeling?
There's some confidence. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I think there's no chance that we can go out there and come out with a win. I mean, there is a chance. We were 1 point away from beating the Pats last week. We've beaten, good teams, but, it just depends on what, same old. Depends on what team shows up. One storyline to watch is the Colts just traded 2 first-round picks. They got Sauce Gardner, who's going to be making his Colts debut, of course, against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, who else would it be against?
Imagine getting traded though, and you have to go. The first game you have to do is go to Germany.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming his debut will be this week. I mean, that definitely makes it a little bit hairy, but I'm sure they can get a flight from New York to Berlin here pretty quickly and get him over there. So, um, it's gonna be an interesting one. It's definitely gonna be an interesting one. But like looking at the Colts team we saw last week, Daniel Jones kind of coming back down to earth. Michael Pittman and Josh Downs are like good receivers, but they're not like top of the line guys. In my personal opinion, I mean, Michael Pittman is good, but he's not like a Drake London. One of these like top 10, top 15 type guys, in my personal opinion. So if our defense can get it going, make them beat us with Jonathan Taylor, maybe keep him under wraps, then I think there's a chance. I mean, I'm not going to get my expectations too high. I mean, the last time we played overseas was the
Toy
Andy
Story
Springer game. Yeah, the Toy Story game where Desmond Ritter threw a pick six to a Toy Story character. I mean, it was one of the worst mornings of my life. So don't get your expectations too high, but there's a chance.
Caleb?
It'll be interesting to see what Raheem does this week. I feel like if this is an embarrassment and it's on like international television that the Falcons just absolutely stink again this week, guy might be packing his bags when he gets back to.
It could be it. If you look at how the playoffs are shaking out with the NFC, because the NFC is doing so good this year, the Falcons are sitting in 11th right now. We really need to go like 7-2, 8-1 to finish this season to have a chance at the playoffs, which is insane. It's insane, but it's the truth. It's the situation we're sitting in. So if Raheem does have another stinker, why not? Why not just go ahead and do it? Make Jeff Ulbrich the interim, and then just go ahead and get started thinking for next year.
Jeff Ulbrich back-to-back interim years. That'd be hilarious.
I mean, he's done it. He's done it before. I mean, he should be able to take over and just get us to the finish line, and then start getting ready.
I don't want to be the dead horse, but we go back to remember the NFL preseason show, and there was one guy who said the Falcons probably were not going to win the division because they would Falcon themselves to death, and they have done it worse than I thought they could so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, because there's so much of the Falcons you can look at, and it's just seems so preventable because we have a decent roster, we have good pieces, but we find ways to lose game, and it's mostly because of scheme and dumbass coaching decisions and this, that, and the other. So whatever, we don't have to talk about the Falcons anymore.
Okay, let's talk about Caleb's Patriots. They're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road this week. 2.5-point dogs, Caleb. Over under is 48.5. You guys going to beat Baker Mayfield coming off a bye?
It's a tough ask. I beat any NFL team coming off the bye, especially when they've got like some familiar game tape with the team that you've familiar with in Atlanta. I think they're going to know exactly what they need to do to attack us. And look, we talk about this all the time. New England's played somewhat what I would consider to be up. I mean, they're the number one seed in the AFC for a reason. I think they played very, very well leading up to this point. This feels like one of those that you're going to drop, not in all honesty. And I'm fine with that. And I think I'd be okay with that. Now, if we can get it to where we control the game and have a lead going in the fourth quarter, I'm still not going to be very confident in what we can do because we've seen what Baker Mayfield and the Bucs have been able to do in the fourth quarter all year long, which is find ways to win games. So on their home turf, maybe a little warmer than what New England's been used to here. I'm prepared for disappointment. I'll be greatly thrilled and surprised if we win convincingly against Tampa.
So, Jake, do you think the Bucs will beat the Patriots on Sunday?
Well, as a Falcons fan, we really need y'all to go up for us because if y'all go back-to-back weeks and like beating us and then losing to the team we need to lose more than anybody, that would be a little annoying. I think Tampa gets right. I think this is a big one for him because Emeka's going to get back healthy. Is Bucky Irving going to be back? He should be. They've been, rocking.
You've been checking the opponent injury report this week?
Not yet. I don't really look until like Thursday or Friday because it don't matter.
Well, regardless, the Buccaneers have been really banged up all season. Very good opportunity for them to have the bye week and then go into a big game like this. I think Caleb said it right. This is a letdown spot for New England. They've been playing so good all year. And this is their slots of team coming in. Tampa Bay is a legitimate contender in the NFC. The battle for Tom Brady. Who gets to claim Tom Brady. So we'll see. Life on the line. I'm going Tampa. I think they just have a lot, and it's a good opportunity for them. I mean, you also have to factor in all the bumps and bruises and, in pain that the Falcons has inflicted, to New England last week, even though they did come out with the win, they're definitely still feeling Jalen Walker come Sunday. So
6
that
sacks.
might, that might be playing in a factor as well.
All right. 2 more games before we get into our picks here. The Rams 49ers are playing. Now, I just want to talk about this because the last time these two teams played, we had that instant classic on Thursday night about a month ago. Mac Jones basically had his whole jersey and uniform ripped off. If you don't remember, I want to give credit. Caleb was really high on the Rams coming into this season, this Super Bowl champ. Now, he also said the 49ers didn't think they were going to be very good. They're sitting here at 6-3. So, Caleb.
Well, the Niners have somehow still found a way to stay afloat, considering all the brutal injuries that they've had over this season so far. And you look at what they've got. I mean, everything's in front of them division-wise. If they can come out and get a dub in this week, I mean, I still am going to ride with my guns. I'm going to stick with what I said at the beginning of the year. I think McVay, if I'm not mistaken, owns the series between him and Shanahan, and so that alone gives me a little bit of more confidence in the pick. And I don't care who's playing for quarterback for San Francisco. I think personally they should hope it's Mac Jones, because I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to have enough juice out there when he gets out there anyways. Obviously, he's been paid the money and he's a guy, and Christian McCaffrey is the centerpiece of the offense. Everybody knows that. But, I think, the Rams do the most things in football the right way, and they've got an elite player at quarterback and one of the best play callers in the game. So I would trust the Los Angeles Rams to come away with a victory here.
Yeah, I'm along those same lines. I think the Rams are playing insane, and they just have the addition with Devontae Adams. I feel like he's just taking this offense to another level. Having Puka on one side, having Devontae on another. We already know everything about Matt Stafford. Kyron Williams is looking great. You can look on the defensive side. Falcons legend Nate Landman has been playing some great ball at linebacker. Great ball at linebacker. Great call there. Terry letting him walk, and saying we'll rock with JD Bertrand. Great call.
Also want to point out that the Rams have already played the 49ers this year and lost in overtime. That was a really tight game. And if you remember watching that, I think I said on the podcast, there were so many situations where the Rams should have won that game. Like they fumbled on the 3-yard line.
On the 1-yard line, like with a minute to go, and still got it to overtime.
So they obviously the resolve in the team is huge. It's going to be interesting to see if is Puka going to play this week? He's supposed to come back, I think, this week.
He played last week.
He played last week.
Oh, did he? Okay.
And then Sunday night, Steelers, Chargers. Chargers are -2.5, over under 44.5. Steelers just beat the Colts. Chargers struggled against the Titans. I don't know how I feel about this Chargers right now. I feel like they're going to be good enough to get into the playoffs, 10-7. Steelers, I'm not sure. Like, I think I think I've said this before. I know a lot of Steelers fans. Like, I think other than Falcons fans, that is the number one fan base. Like, I know the most people, and all of them say like they're back. Like, would you guys think the Steelers after that Colts win are back
for 6 or 7 days?
There you go. We needed one.
This is a big who's who. I feel like losing this game's not really going to be able to be taken seriously, because both of these teams have lost some games so far this season that they should have won, and they're both kind of in a situation where I feel like both teams feel their record should be reflecting a little bit better than it is currently. And so I'm interested to see how this goes. To answer your question about the Steelers, I think this is a team built for the playoffs. I've said this a few weeks in a row. I'm interested to see when this team gets to the wild card and you have a veteran, one of the best all-time quarterbacks in Aaron Rodgers, being able to call the shots. He has a good run game. He has a good number one wide receiver, DK Metcalf, and he can fall back on a good defense. I think this might not be a team that goes out and wins 14 games, but I think it's a team that can go 11-6, 10-7, find their way in the playoffs, win a wild card, win a divisional, and it's like, oh man, the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, and then let's see what happens from there. Mm-hmm. I just think they have the pieces. I think they have the pieces. They got to take care of business. They have been given a golden ticket by having a weak division of their own so far this year, but to put the word out there, Lamar Jackson is healthy, and the Ravens are going to win games from now on. So the Steelers have to stay on their horses and win games and take care of business, and I think this is one of them that you have to win. to make sure you're able to get that whole playoff game.
I agree. I look for the Steelers defense to try and turn loose on this offensive line that's been banged up and kind of missing all of its good pieces. I'm assuming if you get carted off Joe Alt last week that you're not playing this week. No, he's on the IR. So, they got that piece missing. They got some other pieces missing up front. It's time for TJ Watt to take over a game. Like, he has yet to have a monster game. Like, we're talking like 3.5 sacks, forced fumble, that kind of deal. Like, he hasn't really showed up and showed out like that yet this year. So I'm with Jake. I think the Steelers, obviously every game's a must win for everybody. I think it's a bigger win if the Steelers come away with this thing.
All right, let's get into our picks. We've got our guest picker this week, the Brady quote unquote deep shot McGill. How are we feeling?
Brady deep shot McGill.
All right. Well, just to before we get into the picks, I just want to update the standings here. Me, 26 and 23 overall, 6 and 4 on locks, 2 and 7 on deep shots. Jake, 20 and 29, 5 and 5 on locks. 5 and 5 on locks, 3 and 6 on deep shots. Caleb, 22 and 27 overall, 4 and 6 on locks, 2 and 7 on deep shots. And the guest pickers at a combined 23 and 26, 4 and 6 on locks, 3 and 6 on deep shots. So I've got a strong 3-game lead over the guest pickers. Jake, do you think there's a comeback in order for you the last couple weeks?
I would like to say yes. But I got to rally hard if I'm going to get over 500. Maybe I'll go 5-0 this week. Maybe I'll go 5-0 this week, get 5-0 next week, and hey, dude, I'm sitting at one game over 500. So we'll have to see. But I don't think I'm going to be able to defend my crown this year, which is going to be uncharted territory for me because 2 years ago I won the NFL picks, and last year I won the college football picks, and then this year it's not really looking like I'm going to do either. So it's a sad day.
He needs to change his background to a white picture. He's waving the white flag for everybody at home.
Yeah,
right here.
might need to do it.
Which is fine. I think sometimes you come around and go around. Like, you can't always play up every week, every year. We talk about this on this podcast.
Yeah, it's tough to stay consistent. Okay, let's get into them, though. Last week, you guys also had those 3 picks the same, Jake and Caleb. You guys went 1 and 2 for those. And your favorite was Indiana. And that's who my favorite is going to be this week. Minus 14.5 against Penn State. I'm rolling with what you guys rolled with. It was a good pick last week. They mollywopped Maryland in a game where they threw a pick six, or not a pick six, but they threw an interception to start the game. Maryland got up 3 points, and then it was over after that. So Indiana playing Penn State on the road. Penn State had a little bit of fight in that Ohio State game. They had, some big off defensive stops early. And then it just got ugly for them. And I think even if they do the same thing against Indiana, eventually they're just going to get overpowered here. Think about how cool this game should have been if Penn State was not god-awful like they are. But I'm going to go with Indiana minus 14.5 to start off, and that is going to be my lock of the week.
Well, I'm also going to lock my favorite. This is a very interesting line when I came across it. Maybe y'all can help me make sense of it. Vanderbilt minus 6.5 at home against Auburn. So I know we kind of talked about this second earlier, but I'm not going to give too much, stock in like the whole interim bump thing. Like, I feel like more times than not, it's just a crock of shit and it doesn't really lead to anything. And I think, Vandy obviously, lost the game against Texas. So they fought really hard. They were able to keep it within 3 points. Auburn just stinks, man. They scored 3 points against Kentucky last week, and we're gonna give them only 6.5 points going on the road against a really good Vandy team. I think Diego Bobby and the boys should be able to make light work of this. They're going to be my lock. Can someone explain to me why 6? Someone give me
I think it's just a talent profile of Auburn. I think it's just like you go on their 24/7 sports page and look how many 4-star talents they got on their team, and that's what Vegas is probably looking at. They're not looking at, well, Jackson Arnold was a 5-star. He plays like garbage, but he still counts as 5-star talent on their team. Yeah. I would say that's probably what it's from.
I think that's a stupid thought process.
Well, and like maybe Hugh Freeze not calling plays anymore because he's just an idiot, and him being gone, maybe that'll, get them some points. But
yeah, they have a good defense too. Like it's their defense has kept them in all the games this year. But I don't know, do they take out Jackson Arnold, put in Ashton Daniels? He's awful. We'll see. But that's your lock. You had it at 6.5.
6.5. It opened at 7.5. It dropped down to 6.5. So get it now. Before it goes back.
Okay. So I'm going to lock my favorite as well. And this team has burnt me on a favorite lock this year, but I'm going to double down because you can't lose twice with the same opponent. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the NFL here. So I'm going Alabama -9.5 against LSU. That is my lock of the week. We talked about there's very little game script. There is one chance out of 100 that LSU wins this game. And I think that the way that Bama is trying to trend, because they've got visions beyond LSU, they could give a shit less about. Obviously, they want to win this week, and that matters. But they're trying to play 16 games this year or more. And so with that in mind, they need to come out and make a very big statement against LSU. They need to run the ball successfully. I think they'll be able to do that. I think Ty Simpson's going to continue to build his Heisman resume up. And I think LSU is just going to sputter out on offense and continue to do what they've been doing all year, which is run for about 1.5 yards a game on average, like per carry, and just put Garrett Nussmeier's Superman cape on and tell him go to work. Well, he has been sleeping on the job a lot this year when they ask him to do that. So I'm going to take Bama -9.5 as my lock this week.
All right, Brady, give us your favorite and your underdog.
So my favorite, I'm going to go with West Virginia. I'm going to 6.5. They're hosting Colorado for a noon game. I saw that, and it really confused me because, I mean, Colorado's given up, I think, 50 both in the past 2 weeks. He's given up over 50 in the last 2 weeks. John's checked out. He won't be a coach there next year at all. And I did see that I think Colorado's starting Julian Lewis, and I think that that's going to be – West Virginia brings it. I know they're 3-6, but, like, their fans are going to bring it. The noon game, it's going to be sloppy, and I just don't think that he's going to be able to live up to, his first game being at West Virginia.
No, yeah.
I really like that pick. Really like that pick. I stared that game down going into this.
And West Virginia is coming off a big win. They just beat Houston.
Yeah, Houston ranked Houston by, I think, 10. So I think that they had it. Colorado's got to come. And then my underdog, I have Cal at Louisville plus 20.5. So I think that, I mean, that's just a little too much for me, especially with Louisville. Their starting running back is out. So I just don't think that Louisville's going to be able to do it. I think they'll win, but I just don't see that Cal getting beat by that much.
Hey, but I don't know if you know this, Brady, but one of our proud Mary Persons alumni where we went to high school is a running back for Louisville. So their starting running back being out was a good thing in our eyes because we think Duke Watson's going to get in there and go for 250. So just to let you know.
Yeah. Well, he could still go for 250 and then lose by less than 3 touchdowns. So.
True. All right.
Let's hope the kid's healthy, too. He's been in a boot for a while, but I'm sure he's had no trouble driving around that Mercedes-Benz in the meantime. Anywho, my underdog's a sick play. I'm going to be honest. This has clearly got I watched football on Tuesday night written all over it. Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks, okay? The real Gamecocks, some would say. They're plus 1.5 this week against UTEP, and they are playing out west this week. UTEP is the home team. However, Jacksonville State's game script, they like to keep the ball on the ground. They called the third most run plays in the game across the country and are effective with it. And they've got a running back by the name of Cam Cook, who is going to be Chef Curry in the kitchen this weekend. Okay, I'm taking Jacksonville State. They're only plus 1.5. It's a road team. UTEP's 2-6. Okay, and Jacksonville State, if you've watched, I've watched their last 3 games, believe it or not, which is bad but good at the same time. Love ball, no ball around here. They find ways to win. Like the last 2 weeks that I've watched them, if I'm not mistaken, they have went into games down in the fourth quarter and mustered ways to win. In fact, maybe even the last 3 weeks, because I'm looking at the schedule now. They play Sam Houston State on the 9th of this month, and they walked them off with a field goal. So I think they're just going to find ways to win. There's a good culture there. And Jacksonville State, fun fact, is a very, very high winning percentage program across all levels of football they play.
Yeah, that's just to shout out the UTEP. They came into Fifth Third Bank Stadium the other night in Kennesaw, Georgia, and it was a great backdoor cover for the Owls going bowling, if you didn't know. Also, Jacksonville State, one of Kennesaw State's biggest rivals. When I was in college, we played a game against Jacksonville State in Truist Park, and the game went to 6 overtimes.
What?
And we won it. It was crazy. All
6 or 7 overtimes. Brady, I'm disappointed in you. I thought I knew what you were going to do with your underdog, and I thought we were going to have the same pick.
Homer.
Shit. I can't do it.
Give me the Noles. Give me the Florida State Seminoles plus 2.5 this week. Who would have thought that the Florida State Clemson game would just suck ass? 4-4 versus 3.
I will be in attendance for the toilet bowl. I will be there.
There we go.
Rooting on your pick. Hey, I will say this. I played golf last night, Jake, and I had a Florida State ball, a Titleist Pro V1 with a Florida State logo on it. I said, if I don't lose it, Florida State wins. I didn't lose it last time.
There we go. There we go. That's
What'd you shoot?
We're not going to talk about that. It was abysmal. Yeah. It was a par 3 course. And yeah, it was bad.
But you didn't lose the ball. That's all that matters. Well,
Keep it in play.
Looking at Florida State, like obviously things have been looking pretty grim for them. Up until last week, they really turned it on and beat a weight team by 5 touchdowns. Really impressive. All those losses before that could have went the other way. Every single one of them could have went the other way. The overtime game against UVA could have went the other way. The Miami game was a little bit different. They kind of made it look a little bit closer at the end, so maybe I won't throw that in there too. But the Pitt game, the Stanford game, like I think this Florida State team, like I don't think they're like great, but I think they're better than what their record is showing. And then on the flip side, Clemson just actually looks bad. So yeah, give me Florida State, give me the points. I really don't even. They're not my deep shot, but they're plus 110 on the money line. I think I would take that too. For the sake of the picks, give me plus 2.5.
Okay. My underdog is I'm going to be going against Jake. I'm going to be going against Jake. I got Auburn plus 6.5.
You're crazy, dude.
I like Caleb said, the talent profile of Auburn. And when you were asking, I was trying.
Scored 3 points against.
I was trying.
Kentucky's good.
Yeah, right. Kentucky plays Florida this week. Big game. But look, I think the Vandy loss last week, against a team like Texas, who is pretty, obviously way more talented, and it showed up front, and they out physical. I think the Auburn defense carries. All right, and they're going to be able to show up and show out, and they're going to be able to dominate the Vanderbilt offensive line. Now, Auburn offensively, I got no answers for you, but let me tell you, this game can end 13-7 in Vanderbilt. Last year, this game ended something like that. I'm pretty sure. So I think it's going to be more of the same. I just think Auburn plus 6.5. Vandy, I haven't seen them smoke really blow anybody out since South Carolina back in week 3. So I don't, touchdown with them. There's no way they've been they beat LSU by a touchdown, but when's the last time Vanderbilt was a touchdown favorite against an SEC team? That's crazy. But anyway, my over is going to be the FSU Clemson game. I got 56.5 here. Look, Clemson let Duke score all over them last week, and Florida State kind of found the stride last week. They found the offense. All they've got to do is do what everyone else does to Clemson and score, and they'll score points. Everyone else, it has been not a problem at all for Clemson to get scored on this year, and especially in the run game. And Florida State's got a running quarterback. I like the points here. 56.5 seems low to me, honestly. I think that this could be a 42-35 fireworks in this game. Both teams, these are two teams playing for 12th place in the ACC and a big bowl game in Charlotte, maybe the Duke's Mayo. So this is a big game. Over 56.5.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird game because Clemson's DBs have been so bad, and we finally found Juice Robinson last game against Wake Forest, so hopefully they can do that again. But
I like that pick, Garrison. I like that pick. We'll get some points, but a lot more Florida State points. I'd like. My over this week is going to be, I feel like I'd like to go back in time and see if I've taken this before, because I feel like I have. Over 49.5 LSU at Bama. It's a little bit of a weird one because I know we're very critical on this LSU offense, but I think with the Brian Kelly move that maybe they're able to get a touchdown or two, and I think Bama is going to score 40 points on their own. I think they're going to be able to put on a little bit of a shellacking this week. Caleb, I love your pick taking Bama, because I do think that Bama is going to run away with it. And I think they're going to be able to get to 40, and I think LSU is going to be able to score a little. I don't think they're going to be able to compete, but they're going to get in the end zone. They're going to be able to kick a field goal here and there, but I think Bama is going to put on shellacking, and I think 49 points is a lot lower than I would have thought. So give me that.
All right, so my over is going to be the Navy-Notre Dame game this weekend. This game screams points. It's over 55.5. Navy, the last couple of weeks, just in case you've missed it. Now, they took a stinker loss to North Texas last week. Little unforeseen circumstances in their game to only score 17 points. But prior to that, they scored 30 points for almost a month straight. Okay. Coincidentally, they gave up 30 points 4 months straight as well. In fact, gave up 31 points last week too. So in their last 4 weeks, they have given up 31, 32, 31, and 31. Weird, right? Weird. I saw that. I was kind of maybe they need to change some things up, practice backwards or something, turn that into 13 points. Not real sure what they're thinking there, but Notre Dame and CJ Carr are good enough to score 40 points on a defense at this talent level. I'm just going to call it how it is. I really appreciate our servicemen and women. Don't think the women are going to be out there on the field. And if they are, good luck to them. But as far as the midshipmen out there, they just can't compare in talent to what Notre Dame's going to throw at them. I think Notre Dame should be able to score as many points as maybe what they did against Arkansas this year, which was 56, and that would alone break the over. So give me over 55.5 in that game.
There was a strong part of me really wanted to take Navy plus 26.5 as my dog.
Dude, they're the number 10 team in the country. You can't do – come on, they're ranked high, dude. They're good.
All right, Brady, give us your over and your under.
My over is going to be my lock also. Indiana, Penn State, 49.5. I saw that and I was kind of surprised. Indiana hits that. I mean, they literally hit the over by themselves last week against Maryland.
Do it like every week.
So easy to me is that they have hit it several times. I'm just going to keep taking their over until they don't hit it. And they usually hit it by themselves. And then my under, I'm going to go SMU, Boston College, 55.5. SMU, I think they're just going to be riding the high of that emotional win against Miami. And then also Boston College had an emotional game against Notre Dame. It was like very sloppy. Notre Dame pulled away at the end. I think that they kind of put a lot out there. I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of scoring going on.
Interesting. Bill O'Brien got pissed at reporter this week too.
Dude, he's so fat. He's so fat. He sucks. He's a 1-7. He threw away Tommy Castellano last year because he wouldn't throw the ball a ton when he's obviously a running quarterback.
He is really, really fat. He has like 6'10".
He was born with 2 guys. Give him a break. I mean, he had
all right.
Guys had a hard life.
Has he?
Yeah, being Tom Brady's OC in the NFL and then just jumping to the Penn State job right after Paterno. Anywho, let's not bring that up. We're going to go with my under this week. Florida and Kentucky. This is, some would call it the game of the week around here. It's a big-time talent matchup. I think Florida's defense snuffs out this terrible Kentucky offense. It's just what I'm hearing. Some people around here saying that. I'm not one of them, but we're going to bet on what the experts in this deep shot podcast, apparently that's what they think. So why not? Why not take Kentucky and Florida to go under 44.5?
Okay.
Don't hate that pick. For my under, I'm going with the Oregon-Iowa under 41. Taking a little bit of page out of Garrison Cookman's playbook from the last few years. We talked about this game earlier. I'm not too impressed with Oregon's offense. I think it is yet to really stick out. And I think this game, I told you, I think that Iowa has a legitimate chance to win this football game. And if they're going to win this football game, they're going to have to do it their way. They're going to have to dominate time possession. They're going to have long drives. They're going to have to keep the scoring down. And to do that, 20 to 10, 17-10, somewhere around there, and keep this game ugly and keep it on the ground. And I think they can do it. So yeah, give me the under 41. Very low. It's scarily low. Like, I'm not used to these 40-point unders. Like I like to typically take the ones like the 60s and the 50s, but taking one in the 40s feels a little gross to me. But I think there's a chance.
All right. My under this week is going to be Texas A&M, Missouri. Under 47.5. I talked about this game earlier a little bit too. Both teams coming off bye weeks. A&M gets the most sacks in the country. They're going to be playing a backup quarterback with Missouri. Missouri's got a really good defensive line. They'll probably be able to contain Marcel Rhea a little bit more. I just like I like the under in this game. I think both defenses are kind of the strong suits of the team so far. So I'm going to go with that. And then so for my deep shot, I'm going to be going with the UConn Huskies. They're playing the Duke Blue Devils this Saturday. Seems like more of a basketball matchup, but they're plus 290. UConn sneaky 5-3, and Duke sneaky 5-6-3. They're playing for the ACC championship kind of because they only have one loss in conference, but at the same time, this isn't a conference game, so they might get caught sleeping. I'm going to go UConn plus 290.
And this game's in UConn too. What's going on? Why is Duke University playing up the road? This is a road game for them.
I don't know, dude, because they got to get the games in, I guess. I feel like that's so like I know Georgia played Notre Dame a couple years ago, but playing an independent team just in the middle of like conference scheduling, like it's a crazy.
So I just talked about this game as my under. I'm taking the Iowa Hawkeyes as my deep shot plus 203. I think they're going to be able to get it done. I think Oregon, they've been due to slip up. They've been playing down their competition. Iowa's going to be able to punch them in the mouth. They're going to be able to get it done. Give me Iowa plus 203.
I've got 2 written down. I did the Siri coin flip earlier. I'm taking something that is an insane value to me. This is a ranked game. However, I talked about this earlier. BYU is like a 10.5-point dog, but the money line for them, this is an undefeated team in the country, and the money line for them this week is plus 320. Now, this just seems smart. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even seem like it's a good play per se. Like, I've already said, I think Texas Tech wins, but in what other country and world, date, time, whatever you want to call it, would you get an undefeated top 10 team going against a one-loss other top 10 team, and they're plus 300 or more money line? I think this is just a smart play. You're talking about being very Nancy Pelosi-like with your investments in this world. This is one of those that is low risk, high reward in my book.
All right, Brady, finish us off.
Take us home, Brady.
Yeah, I thought about doing that one too, but I just don't trust. I don't trust the Storm and Mormons, you know. So I got Wake Forest against Virginia after they got their ass beat. Virginia has avoided getting upset, or they've had so many close games, multiple games in overtime, multiple 1-point wins, 1-score wins. So Wake Forest plus 200 at Virginia. I just think that Virginia's luck has run out. I think that I think that their coach actually is good. Jay Sticker, I think he's going to get them right for this game. I don't think Virginia avoided this time.
It's crazy. Back-to-back weeks, we've had the guest picker pick Wake Forest as their deep shot. Broderick picked it last week against Florida State. Brady's picking it this week against Virginia. And also back-to-back weeks, we had some ACC heavy pickers.
Yeah.
Brady coming out hot in the ACC.
They're competitive,
Not according to college football playoff.
Yeah, Brady, hopefully your Wake Forest pick is better than Broderick said last week.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
that was
worse. Yeah.
That was brutal. Hey, before you go though, you're an ACC guy, clearly the ACC expert around here. What do you think about the rankings being so low? Like, you guys slot under Utah and Notre Dame and all these guys, like the whole conference got sandwiched in just on the back end of the truck.
Well, so I don't really care about it. I'm really happy that Miami is kind of out of the conversation, but I do want to ask you a question though. So Notre Dame is ranked higher than Miami, but they have a head-to-head matchup, right? Does that matter if they both go undefeated? Does that matter if they both go 10-2?
Well,
even though Miami's has looked sloppier.
Yeah, I mean,
Miami is too bad.
I think I don't think it's gonna matter. Like, if they're both 10-2, then, I mean, there would have to be so much to go in Miami's favor, like with things in front of them to like even get them close. Because I mean, they're so far away from them. Notre Dame could, by the end of this thing, creep into like being like 5 or 6 in the country, 6 or 7. In Miami, I mean, maybe they can get. I just don't see a way Miami's getting in anymore, honestly, unless somehow they win the ACC. But that's just me.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not happening and then with my pick, Virginia, so they have one loss to NC State, but it's not a conference loss. They scheduled that as an out-of-conference game because they lost it, so they still don't have a conference loss yet. So they're in the championship unless they lose.
Yeah, I know that is the wildest thing that you can play.
It's so stupid.
It's not like they both haven't been in the conference forever, Like, they've literally both been in that conference for at least a long time.
6 or 7 years.
Yeah, at least. All right, let's finish off with our 3 NFL best bets before we get out of here. The Buffalo Bills are playing the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. Right now, they are minus 9.5. I think you can just feel safe betting against the Dolphins at any point, except for when they play the Falcons, obviously. But I'm going to be going with the Bills minus 9.5 here. I know they just had the big emotional win against Kansas City. I don't know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure they don't play that well in Miami. Don't care. I'm going to take the Bills minus 9.5.
For my first NFL best bet, I'm going to be going with the Chicago Bears this week. Listen, I'm looking at what I've seen out of the Bears so far this year, and I know it's the Bears, and it's easy to think they suck and everything. Dude, Caleb Williams, I feel like he's taking the next step. I mean, he showed up to the game on Sunday with his nails painted and a fresh cup of matcha, ready to go.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. And he went crazy. And, the Giants, say what you will about him. I know Jackson Dart's looking like a little bit of improvement, but I think the Bears are going to be able to keep it going and be able to get to 6-3.
Did he really show up like that?
You already know about the nails, but yes, he did have his matcha.
We had a picture of that.
Unbelievable. You should have made that as your background for this episode, Jake. That would have been nice.
I should have.
My first NFL pick, Jake talked about this team earlier. They're going to continue to win. I think it starts this week. The Ravens are -4.5 against the Minnesota Vikings. Lamar Jackson's back. He's healthy. They're going to be on a mission. Look, this guy, whenever he's in the league and he's healthy and he's playing football week to week, he is top 3 quarterback to walk this earth. In terms of being able to win a game. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, he's the most proficient passer, this and that. No, winning a game. There ain't but many two or three people that you would take over him in order to win the game of your life, I think, at this point in the NFL. 4.5 against the Minnesota Vikings with a horrendous quarterback situation, whatever it is right now. I know that J.J. McCarthy is still young in his development and all that stuff. The Ravens got to win right now, and desperation is a strong odor. So give me them this week to take a dub against the Vikings.
All right, Brady, give us your two of yours.
So I got the Cleveland Browns going to the Jets -2.5. The Jets
Right. My
their
God.
entire team, and they're 1-7. The Browns are 2-6. I just think that they just suck. I mean, both teams are terrible, but like the Jets just like got rid of their entire team. I just don't see them. I just see them fully checking out.
About the Jets doing that though, like trading away their arguably their two best players for just more first round picks, so they're who knows will even be good.
I think it's great. I mean, I think them getting 2 first-round picks out of Sauce Gardner is awesome return. I think it's awesome return because, like, I'll say this. What does having an awesome corner do to a team that sucks everywhere else? It does nothing. Corner is like it's like a luxury.
Yeah, it's like the Colts. It's like the team that traded for him.
Everything else taken care of, they can go get the great corner. But when you just have a great corner, but you don't have a quarterback and you don't really have, receivers outside of one, and you don't have an offensive line to be able to run the football. Who cares that you have a good D tackle and a good corner? And also Sauce is kind of like lost some sauce. Like he hasn't been that Sauce Gardner he was like his rookie year. He's kind of taking a step back. So I think them getting 2 firsts out of him was pretty dang good.
He's going to look a lot better around a much better defense though next week. Like the Colts are going to be able to fit him in well. And
he's
like you guys said,
Michael Penix off this week, huh?
No, yeah.
Oh,
Jeez, this
right.
guy's rooting for him right here. I about spit my drink up when you said that matchup, dude. They need to put that on the CW.
All
It is a great
right, Brady, what's your second one? Sorry.
Jags -1 at Houston. I mean, I don't think CJ Stroud is playing, I'm pretty sure he's not, and I just don't think they just get it all.
Yeah, how that injury looked, I can't imagine CJ's playing 1 week later. I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, I don't think he is. I'm pretty sure.
Still in some of my friends' team. This one right here actually that played against mine last week. I'm taking the best player in their team probably. His name's Bijan Robinson. Scored a touchdown. It's -140. You don't want to dig for more than $100 bill when you're making these bets, but just an extra 40 bones to make another Ben Frank in your pocket right here, I think is a pretty solid bet. The guy is going to score. Like, there's no question about it. And I talked about last week how I was so impressed with Drake London. Bijan Robinson still is the best player on the team, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think may or may not be in line with that, but it's like I remember him catching a ball on a check down. He was like one-handed. There's 2 people guarding him, and he somehow catches it, breaks both tackles, and goes for first down. The guy is going to be elite in the red zone. They're going to get down there. And when they do, they need to put the ball in the best player's hands. It needs to be him. Stop throwing it to Kyle Pitts down there.
Yeah, it just depends on if Z-Rob's going to be able to use him effectively or not, because I think he's gone. I think he scored the last 2 weeks since he had that 230-yard game against the 49ers. They just have not really used him.
I think he's due. I think he's found a little bit of magic with them putting him as a receiver, but he's 5 yards behind the line, which is weird to me, but they've been able to throw the ball to him very effectively out of that.
Yeah. So for my next best bet, I'm going to be going with the Seattle Seahawks -6.5 at home against the Arizona Cardinals. We saw the Cardinals play last night, or on Monday night, excuse me. It looks solid. Jacoby Brissett going to be their starting quarterback going forward, but I'm really intrigued by the Seattle team. I think they're damn good. I think they are good all the way up and down. They got Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans. I think he's going to be. I think he's like the ideal, like a complimentary receiver to go along with JSN. I mean, you can't talk enough about the step that JSN has taken this year. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the National Football League. It's not even up for discussion. It's week in and week out. He's incredible. Samson Arnold looks great. They have 2 good backs. Yeah, a divisional game. Honestly, a short week for for Arizona. So yeah, give me Seattle.
Yeah, I like that. And Seattle coming off the big win. It is interesting. They said like going forward, Jacoby Brissett is starting quarterback, and then today they put Kyler Murray on the IR. So the Kyler Murray days are over. It seems like in Arizona, at least like this year, and you would think they might move him.
Yeah.
He might be. I think he's going to be a future Cleveland Brown or New York Jet.
You could make that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Okay. My second best bet, and just to go back real quick to the Falcons for a second, like Caleb was talking about Bijan. Last week I bet Drake London to score a touchdown. That was an awesome bet. I really wish I would have just bet him to score 3. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But Jonathan Taylor in this game is minus 500 to score a touchdown against the Falcons on Sundays. If you're looking for something,
I saw better odds than that, dude. I think
with like no value.
You need to find the Jonathan Taylor to not score a touchdown.
Yeah. But that's not my bet. My bet is Roma Dunze to score a touchdown, plus 140 for the Bears. Look, last week that was a crazy game between the Bears and Bengals. Roma Dunze didn't find the end zone, though. All right, so he's due. He's been having a good season. I really like what he's got there. My last pick is going to be the under in the Ravens-Vikings, 49.5. Lamar's back. I like it. But also that Ravens defense might be back. Last 2 weeks, they played really good against the Bears and the Dolphins. And, Dolphins were feeling hot when they were playing them. So, props to them. They played them on the road. They played them really well. And on the other hand, Brian Flores is, one of the best defensive coordinators in the National Football League. And I think they'll be able to kind of contain Lamar. And also, J.J. McCarthy only plays 1 good quarter per game. So I think by the time we get to the 4th, it'll be like, 6 to 7 or something. And we'll be comfortably in the league.
6 to 7. For my last best bet, I'm going to go with the Sunday night game. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers money line plus 125. Like I talked about earlier, this is a team that I'm going to continue to buy on. I've never liked the Steelers. I honestly always kind of always been like against the Steelers, but for whatever reason, I want the Steelers team to be good. And I'm going to continue to buy on them. And I think they're going to be able to pull it out.
Caleb.
Well, I'm sure the people are waiting for me to pick the team that is over my shoulder here. This is the other one that was playing in that game last week. I'm staying away from that game. I already told you I'm a little scared. I'm going to safe bet here. The Lions are minus 9.5. Yeah, scary. Big number in the NFL. I get it. Guess who's not playing? The Washington's whole reason to believe that they would be competitive in this game, Jaden Daniels. I think that Detroit is in a spot where they need to continue to stay hot to be competitive in their division, and they're going to have to win this game. And I think they do so convincingly. So give me the Lions minus 9.5.
All right, Brady, last one.
I got Janke scoring a touchdown. Ashton Janke plus 110. I think it's going to be a scrappy game against Denver, and so I have him getting in the end zone. Maybe more than one, but if I want to.
Yeah, Thursday. That's the Thursday night game. As you're hearing this, shout out Brock Bowers again. What a beast. He's back. If you got him in any fantasy leagues, you felt good last week. Shout out me. Still lost. Okay.
What if the Vegas Raiders got Kyler?
There we go.
What if the Jets traded
Arizona.
Sauce Gardner for him? Like, that's what I was sitting here thinking when you guys were talking about it. Why didn't they pitch Quentin Williams for the guy? Just let's trade him out real quick.
I think that backfield could be kind of awesome with Kyler and Genji.
Absolutely.
That's totally where he's going to end up, dude. Tom Brady is going to coach him up. He's going to end up being the greatest quarterback ever.
Tom Brady does not know how to play domination on Call of Duty.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up here. And that is episode 26 of the Deep Shot Podcast. We've got a big week, second weekend in November. All right. So things are getting down to the nitty gritty. We're going to have more playoff rankings. We're going to have teams basically getting eliminated from the playoffs here in the NFL soon. So make sure you hold on to it tight. All right. Make sure you got Maction on. During on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, there's football on still every day. Shout out Brady for joining us. Deep Shot Sports Helping Paul's event at Mutation Brewery on November 22nd. Brady, you going to be there?
Yes, I will be in town. I should be able to be there. Also, don't forget Georgia Southern tomorrow night, I think.
Yep.
That's the date, right? Yep.
I brought that up earlier just to make sure I satisfy the group text.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Deep Shot out.